The crucifixion of Christ is the axis of history, the moment when heaven and earth collided under the weight of divine purpose. It is a story etched into eternity, carried in whispers of prophecy, in the shadows of temple sacrifices, and in the hopes of every heart that longed for deliverance. Yet on that day in Jerusalem, few could grasp the magnitude of what was unfolding. To the eyes of men, it looked like a tragic execution of a prophet. To the eyes of God, it was the Lamb of Heaven giving himself for the sins of the world. It began with betrayal. In the Garden of Gethsemane, beneath twisted olive trees under the cool hush of night, Jesus prayed until his sweat fell like drops of blood. His closest companions could not stay awake, their eyes heavy with sleep, while he agonized over the cup of suffering he was about to drink. The silence of the garden broke when Judas arrived, leading soldiers armed with torches and swords. The kiss of betrayal sealed the moment, a gesture meant for love turned into the mark of treachery. Jesus did not resist, for he knew this hour was appointed. Taken in chains, he was led away as his disciples scattered in fear. The trials that followed were a mockery of justice. Dragged before the Sanhedrin, he was accused by false witnesses who could not agree. The high priest tore his robes when Jesus declared that he was indeed the Son of God, the Christ, and from that moment the council cried out for his death. But under Roman rule, they lacked the authority to execute, so they led him to Pilate, the governor, demanding crucifixion. Pilate questioned him, puzzled by his silence, for Jesus did not defend himself against the accusations. The governor, finding no fault in him, sought to release him. Yet the crowd, stirred by religious leaders, shouted louder and louder, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Their cries drowned out justice, and Pilate, washing his hands in shallow innocence, delivered Jesus to be scourged and crucified. The scourging itself was a horror. Roman soldiers stripped him, tied him to a post, and unleashed whips woven with bone and metal. Each strike tore flesh, opening wounds across his back until he was scarcely recognizable. Blood poured like rivers from his body, pooling at his feet. When the soldiers grew tired of their cruelty, they clothed him in a purple robe and pressed a crown of thorns upon his head, mocking him as King of the Jews. They spat on him, struck him, and bowed in false reverence. And yet, through it all, he uttered no curse, no threat, only silent endurance. When the soldiers were done, they placed the heavy beam of the cross upon his torn shoulders and forced him to walk the road to Golgotha. The Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering, twisted through the streets of Jerusalem, crowded with onlookers, some jeering, some weeping, many indifferent. Jesus stumbled beneath the weight, collapsing more than once, until Simon of Cyrene was compelled to carry the cross behind him. Women wailed, but Jesus turned to them and said, "Do not weep for me, but for yourselves and your children." Even in his suffering, his concern was for others. At last, they reached the hill called Calvary, the place of the skull. There, the soldiers stretched him upon the wood. Iron nails were driven through his hands and feet, each blow echoing through the heavens. The cross was lifted and dropped into place, jarring his torn body. Above his head, they placed a sign written in 3 languages, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." The leaders scoffed, demanding it be changed, but Pilate refused. Around him, criminals hung on either side, fulfilling the prophecy that he would be numbered with the transgressors. The crowd mocked him. He saved others, but he cannot save himself. "If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." Even the thieves cursed him, until one, in his dying moments, turned in faith. "Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus, bloodied and gasping, promised him, "Today, you will be with me in paradise." Hours passed in agony. Every breath was a battle, every movement a tearing pain. His mother Mary stood at the foot of the cross, her soul pierced as Simeon once foretold. Beside her stood John, the beloved disciple, and Jesus, even in his suffering, entrusted his mother to John's care. "Woman, behold your son. Son, behold your mother." Love did not die on that cross, it was magnified beyond measure. Then came the darkness. At midday, the sky blackened, as though creation itself mourned. The earth grew silent under a shroud of unnatural night. Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Quoting the psalm that bore witness to his suffering. The weight of sin, the burden of every betrayal, every lie, every act of violence and rebellion, pressed upon him. He who knew no sin became sin for us, and in that moment, the Father turned his face away. The anguish of separation cut deeper than nails or whips. The earth responded violently. As Jesus neared his final breath, the ground quaked, rocks split, and the veil in the temple was torn from top to bottom. This veil, which had long separated man from the most holy place, was now removed, God himself opening the way through the sacrifice of his Son. Soldiers who mocked moments earlier now trembled, declaring, "Surely this man was the Son of God." At last, with his strength nearly gone, Jesus whispered, "I thirst." They offered him sour wine on a sponge, and then he lifted his voice once more, "It is finished." The mission completed, the price paid, the redemption secured. Finally, he bowed his head and said, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." And with that, he breathed his last. The earth shook violently. Graves opened, and some saints were raised, a foretaste of the resurrection to come. Those who had laughed now cowered in fear. The centurion, hardened by countless executions, could not deny the truth. This was no ordinary man. This was the Son of God. As evening drew near, Joseph of Arimathea, a member of the council who secretly believed in Jesus, boldly requested his body. With Nicodemus, he wrapped Jesus in linen and laid him in a new tomb, carved from rock, with a great stone rolled across the entrance. The women who loved him watched from a distance, their hearts crushed with grief, not knowing that the story was far from over. The crucifixion was not merely a tragedy of injustice. It was the turning point of eternity. The heavens bore witness, the earth shook, and even hell trembled, for in the death of Christ, victory was already unfolding. Sin's curse was broken, death's grip was loosed, and the gates of eternity swung open. Those who looked upon him and realized who he was carried the weight of that revelation forever. They had killed the Son of God, yet in killing him, he had given life to all. The story of the crucifixion is not simply about the past, it is about us today. Every nail driven, every wound borne, every cry uttered was for humanity, for you and me. The earth shattered under the weight of divine sacrifice so that shattered lives could be made whole. When they knew they had killed the Son of God, they also began to see the truth, that through his death came the dawn of salvation.